Hi everyone, it's Margaret Manning here, and welcome to Mornings with 60 and Me. Today is September 17th. It's a Saturday. So hope you're well. Thank you all for being here. I'm so happy to know that there are people out joining us first thing in the morning and having their cup of tea with us and getting started with the day. I'll give you an update on the world news and also some feel-good stories to perhaps inspire us for the weekend. So my tea, let's get the important things first. Now, yesterday I got a really lovely little gift from my son and his wife. It's called the Buddha Box, and it's a little collection of teas. And it says here it's to help you become one with everything, which sounds like a pretty good idea to me. But it's a really sweet little box of assorted teas, so every day you can try something new. And it was great to get a gift as well. But I got my tea this morning. It's green tea, and it's got mint in it. So it's something a little bit different for me, which is great. I'm trying it out this morning. But tell me what you drink in the morning. What tea do you like? And if you like coffee, that's okay too. But let's get up to speed on some of the world news. In the United States, Apple launched its iPhone 7 yesterday, global launch. Did very well. They sold out and said if you didn't pre-register, you might have difficulty getting one, before the end of the year. So that's Apple's launch. And at the same time, Samsung was receiving formal requests to withdraw its Galaxy Note 7, which, as you remember, has been having a little problem with explosions while charging. So they say they've got it fixed and will be replacing to anyone who's got one next week. But please, if you've got a Galaxy Note 7, take it back to the dealer and get it changed. It's not safe. But also in the United States, as you know, the presidential debates are coming up soon. I think the first one's on September the 26th. And it's been decided that the Libertarian candidate, Gary Johnson, and the Green candidate, Jill Stein, will not be able to participate. They didn't get enough, or they didn't fulfill the procedure that you need to complete in order to get on the debate stage. So as it stands now, it will just be Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And in the past, Donald Trump has made a comment that he wouldn't talk if Gary Johnson wasn't there also. So we'll see how that plays out. But that's the latest news. We'll see how it turns out. Now, in Syria, as you know, there's a ceasefire underway, and it's being challenged. It's fragile. There have been some situations that have put the ceasefire at risk. The main problem here is that there's a difference between the United States and Russia as to who is a terrorist. Because part of this ceasefire was that they would be able to still attack IS, Islamic State places where there are, they're holed up. But, there's this who is a terrorist in a world where there are so many different factions and groups. So they're trying very hard to get humanitarian aid into the cities that need it, but it is quite fragile. Both Russia and the United States want an extension of 76 hours, so let's hope that does happen. Now, in France, 2,000 migrants were removed from the streets of Paris. There were over 2,000 just sleeping on the streets in Northern Europe, and they had put together these camps with mattresses and sleeping bags. And the sanitary conditions became so bad that they had to remove them. So everybody's been relocated now into, I presume, hotels and other facilities. But it just goes to underscore the topic that we talked a little bit about yesterday. It's really become an issue in Europe, how the European countries handle these refugees who are coming to their country. And on a related note, I just got news this morning that South Sudan has had wars ongoing for years, and the number of people who have left South Sudan as refugees is now over 1 million. So these are the numbers. There are big numbers of people that are coming into European countries looking for help. In Pakistan, the situation is very fragile there as well. Friday prayers were interrupted at a mosque with a bombing. Actually, it was a suicide bombing that killed over 25 people. No one's claimed responsibility, but the Taliban are being resurgent in that area. They're very active, and it just breaks your heart when you hear these stories where people of any religion, any faith, are hurt by that kind of irrational behavior. So that's in Pakistan. In the EU, the summit in Bratislava yesterday in Slovakia has ended. It was just a short gathering, but they've come out agreed on one thing. All the leaders of the EU countries, after without UK, they've agreed that they're in a mess. They're in a critical situation, and that there are so many differences of opinion, and that they really have to find a way to be united. But in the middle of this transition, there's a lot of people in other countries who want to have a different relationship with Brussels, with the EU, and others that want it to continue as it is. So Angela Merkel from Germany said that, we can make a better Europe through this situation, but it's going to take time and unity. And they're planning to issue a statement about the future of Europe in March. So they're giving themselves some time. So that's in the EU. That's kind of, for me, the summary of what's going on in the world of news today. I'd like to talk to you about a couple of things now. We started to talk yesterday about hobbies, and we got some great answers. I mean, honestly, every time I ask this question, I just love our community. I already do, but every time you tell me how unique you are and how, just how special your interests are, it just makes me feel great. But we got a lot of people talking about knitting. And I knit. Well, I say I knit. I like, plain rows of knitting. In fact, I've got my latest little creation here, which is just a little scarf. But you can see it's all plain, and that's my capacity for knitting. But I love it. I love the colors, the textures, and it's fun. But I read an article yesterday by a woman. Her name is Jane E. Brody. Jane is the health editor for the New York Times, and she writes on all issues related to health. And you wouldn't expect an article on knitting by someone who's a health editor. But her story was basically saying she's a knitter, and she is impressed by the resurgence of knitting, not just in older people, sort of a granny hobby. But now a third of people between the age of 25 to 35 say they knit or crochet. So everyone is getting into knitting. And according to Jane Brody, there are some reasons. And they are as follows. Well, number one, it relaxes you. Now, there's a council called the Craft Yarn Council, and they set up called a Stitch Away initiative in honor of National Stress Awareness Week. And they found that people who knit have actually positive physical reactions. Their blood pressure goes down. There's a reduction in that stress hormone that we all don't like, called cortisol. And the actual repetitive activity of knitting does something chemically to the body to produce a healthier state of mind. Now, researchers have been looking at knitting for a while. And I make a correlation between this relaxed state that you can get through repetitive action and yoga or meditation. But it turns out that, as Jane Brody points out, it's not just health. It's not physical health. It's mental health as well. And also other things that we might be concerned about in our 50s and 60s are helped by knitting. So, unlike just meditation, where you get kind of an enhanced state of well-being, this is actually an enhanced state of self-esteem. And she talks about things like, there's a couple of initiatives, like is it Knit to Quit, which is a group that got together to help people who want to quit smoking, and knitting helps. And Knit to Heal for people who are dealing with cancer or some serious illness. There's a calming influence physically and mentally. They found that when they put needlework and knitting crochet projects into schools or even into prisons, there's an improvement in social interaction, social engagement. So knitting has that effect of calming people down. And it's of course not just knitting, it's all needlework and textile hobbies. Now, it also apparently helps with depression. This is the cure-all. This is free. This is just a bit of wool and some knitting needles. Depression and also chronic pain. is helped. And this has got something to do, she talks about this, about how it makes it harder for the brain to register pain indicators. So it's not just fabrication, it's actually some real science here. And then finally, there seems to be help with Alzheimer's. It helps with diminished deterioration of the brain, and also improves memory and focus. So knitting, women that knit and do other crochet and other needlework hobbies are helping your body and your mind. It's a really good article. I'm going to put the link in our paragraph that introduces the video, so you can go and read it all. Jane Brody is a really good writer, and she's very thorough in her examinations. So as you're knitting your scarves and your winter socks maybe this weekend, just take a breath and think how much it's helping you on all levels. So that is knitting. Are you a knitter? By the way, if you have any comments as we go along here today, just leave them in the section below, and I'd love to know if you're a knitter. And what you're knitting. What projects are you working on? So another story that's kind of related to this that I wanted to share with you is about stress and anxiety in general. Some people find that weekends are pretty stressful times, and statistically, and I don't know exactly why, but maybe we just think a little too much on the weekends. And so we wrote an article at 60andMe about this was a while ago, and it was really how to deal with stress and anxiety over 60. And we talk about things like, for example, a lot of stress happens because we're worried about the past or the future, and we have regrets, say, for example, and this is like being alive. This is what happens when you live to 60 years. Of course you get regrets. Of course you get things that you weren't happy with how they turned out. But we sometimes attach a lot of anxiety and stress to things that could be changed just by changing our lens. Just by changing our perspective on the situation. So if we look at a regret as something bad and sad and full of guilt, then yes, it's going to make us feel upset and stressful. If we look at it as, for example, a way to grow and have experiences that have enriched us, then that makes it a different experience. Another thing we get anxious about is fearing the future, the what ifs. And a lot of women talk about this in terms of travel, for example, or it stops them from doing things because they're afraid of the future. And one of the things we talk about in the article is just to do one simple thing, which is just to say, well, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Now, it could be the extreme things, but by asking that question, most of the time, we'll just realize that, what's the worst that can happen? We'll not have a good time, or we'll spend a little money that we could have saved, or whatever. But the whatever is going to happen is usually not so bad. And I think we just have to keep reminding ourselves that we have lived through some pretty amazing times. We've been through difficult situations. So whatever comes up in the future, we'll deal with it. We will be fine. And the other thing that we worry and stress about is the present, like the right now. And I'm not minimizing the challenges that a lot of women in our community are facing. There are some real challenges going on: financial situations, family relationships, personal relationships, divorces and separations. These are real. So it's not like I'm saying don't be concerned about the future. But if you stress about it and get anxious about it, it doesn't make it any better. It just makes it deeper and persistent. So I love this quote, actually. It's a great quote that Winston Churchill said when, I don't know when, but he said, "If you're going through hell, keep going." Don't give up, just keep going. And the stress really happens when we start circling in our brain, like the worry. So if you're going through hell, just keep going. And then the other one that Creighton Abrams said was, when eating an elephant, eat one bite at a time. And that's the advice for now on this, is that if you're worried about something, your financial situation or your health or family, just one step at a time. Write down, one thing at a time, what's on your mind. And then go back to that list and look at the specific things you can do, the actionable things you can do to make a difference. So the present fears can be dealt with by just looking at them one at a time, slowly walking through them, and reaching out to friends. Reach out here. Leave your notes below if you've got something on your mind. We're happy to talk about it, and I'm just glad that we're all here, to support each other. So, thank you again for being here today. I hope that you have a fantastic weekend. Do something fun for yourself, pamper yourself, and just be grateful for what we have in this world. And and I'd like to see you all back here tomorrow on Mornings with 60 and Me. So please go up to 60andme.com/mornings and sign up to get the news first. So I hope that this has all been helpful for you, inspired you to have a great weekend. And I'd like to leave you with a question, and that is, how do you deal with stress and anxiety? Leave your comments in the section below, and perhaps we can help each other, sort out something that we might be going through. And look for each other's comments and give feedback and like and share those comments. It's just a really great way to use this beautiful platform that we have. So that's my question for today. How do you deal with stress and anxiety? Look forward to your comments, and I also look forward to seeing you all back here again tomorrow for Mornings with 60 and Me. Bye for now.